Practicing something consistent like this every day can be a blessing and a curse because there's so many things we can focus on. Let's talk a little about that. Hi, I'm Brian from Airflow Music. Welcome back to another video. This is day 14 in our Go Practice Daily series. I hope you're having a great day today. As I said up front, the blessing and the curse to practicing something consistent like this, particularly something slow and consistent, is that it really gives us the chance to focus on different things. So it's a blessing because we get to get better at them, but at the same time it's a curse because you never quite feel like you're done. Anyway, I'm focusing on the positive, and something that I've noticed that I've gotten lazy with in looking back at the videos in the recent days, particularly yesterday, is that my fingers have got a bit lazy. My hand position and maintaining my finger position on the finger buttons as I play, both of those things. So this is what I want to address in this video, particularly as I'm practicing the exercises, but also just to talk about what I'm looking at, just so you can have a sense of what I'm thinking about and how I'm trying to make this best work for myself. Okay, so it really comes to the hand position on the trumpet is the first thing. So I mean, we tend not to think about it if we look straight on like this, but there is a couple of things I'm thinking about in particular with my hand position. Now if you look over the horn like that, I'm talking about the fingers on the valves, you'll notice that my fingers are straight. The thing I look for is the straight line down this side of my hand against the first valve that my index finger makes. It's straight in line there. Now, it's reasonably common, I see this with my students, for them to want to kind of lean into the valves and get a little off kilter. It's kind of hip to play with a hand position almost like this. Now, that's inefficient because you're making it harder than it needs to be to reach the third valve. And the third finger is already slower, just by the nature of how the hand is wired. So that's something to watch out for. So trying to get that nice straight on position is always worthwhile. Okay, the second thing is making sure that we keep our fingers close to the finger buttons, particularly when we're playing slow things, because there can be a tendency to let things kind of get away. So rather than sitting there nice and straight, you may kind of sit there when you're playing long notes with your fingers kind of off the buttons a little or waving in the air or something like that. And that's not what I'm looking to do. What I would much prefer to be dealing with is keeping my fingers right there, very close, if not in contact with the buttons, so that they don't have to go any extra distance. It's going to make it easier to play things quickly. Okay? And if my fingers are far off the buttons, then they have to search for the buttons before they can get back and play what they need to play. It's wasting energy, it's wasting time. But the other thing that goes along with that is that I don't want to rest them too hard on the buttons, and this is something I've spotted that I've started to do. And I've tried to fix it in the past, but it's something that's come back, is that I have a tendency to slightly press my third valve while I'm running the other two valves. That's something I do have a tendency to do. So that's something that I need to try and fix and try and do better with. So that's what I'm looking out for. Question of the day. Is there anything in particular you look out for that I may not have considered yet, may not have mentioned yet when you're practicing something consistent like this? Please do leave a comment below and let me know, and maybe we can talk about it. So let's get into exercise 1. As I said, we're into set 3 now, as of yesterday. So if you don't have set 3 yet, please go to the link in the description below and head over to the Airflow Music online store where you can find the free PDF. Just add it to the cart, check out, it's free. Okay? You'll be able to get that and practice at home yourself, even though the notes are up on the screen here on the video. Okay, beyond that, we're into the same thing. We're still playing this Caruso style stability exercise for exercise 1. We're just doing it with whole steps now. Slightly different pattern, but largely the same thing. The rules remain the same. We're going at 60 beats a minute. I am trying to play in time, so I'm tapping my foot and subdividing the beat. I'm breath attacking the start of each phrase, the first note of each phrase, and then on the rest bar, the fourth bar of each phrase, I'm trying to breathe in time. Out for 2 beats, in for 2 beats. And because I'm playing this long setting, that's a nose breath. If you're not playing it long setting, or if you're not playing it all the way through long setting, then that doesn't need to be a nose breath necessarily. Okay? Other than that, I think that's everything for this, so let's get into exercise 1. Okay, so that's exercise 1 for today, and it was certainly illuminating to concentrate on my fingers. I caught myself a couple times, again with that third finger dragging just a little bit, but other than that, that went off pretty well today. I did manage to play the correct alternate fingerings for the E to F sharp this time, which I missed in yesterday's video, if you saw my note. Other than that, everything responded pretty well. Everything's hanging together. Filling the corners quite nicely. And I'll have to look back at the tape, but it seems like for those kind of slow lip slurs at the top of the staff there, the alternate fingering notes, it seems like everything's staying nice and stable for those movements, which is the goal of this. So pleased about that. Anyway, how are you making out with this one? Are you following what I'm doing with the fingerings? on those alternate fingerings? Does that make sense? If there's something unclear about that, please do leave a comment below. Okay? Anyway, let's move on to exercise 2. We're back at 80 beats a minute, but we're playing the triplets now, eighth note triplets. And I'm really trying to focus on playing these evenly. There's a couple of comments about the feel being a little unexpected. Triplets should be an even 3. I know that there's a tendency of wanting to think about them as being triplet, triplet, but that never quite evens up. It's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Just in time, and part of the thing we're practicing is spacing that correctly against the click. So we know what's going on and we get nice and even and consistent. Okay? That's what we're looking out for. As I said, this is a little faster than we were dealing with. I asked the question yesterday but didn't really get a response apart from people saying, yes, it's faster. Is it too fast for you to feel that it's comfortable? Do I need to go a little slow with this to begin with so we can find it? Again, please leave a comment and let me know. Okay? Anyway, other than that, everything's going the same. We're at 80 beats a minute. 3 bars moving notes, 1 bar hold, 2 bars rest. We're going to reset on the rest bars. And yeah, let's get this thing done. Okay, so there's exercise 2. How are we getting on with this one? I'm personally finding it a lot better today than it was yesterday. It was much easier to lock in on playing the triplets this time. I had a much better time with that. Still a little uneven in places, particularly on the higher alternate fingering combinations. They got a little uneven, but that's why I need to practice them. That's simply it. What else tripped me up? Let me see. The low B to C sharp, that's just a nasty fingering combination. So again, it's something I need to practice. I may take an extra couple of spins on my own time through that particular line, just for that reason. And just towards the end there, the low G to A, the first G didn't speak. That can happen. So that's just something I've got to keep an eye on. Not necessarily concerned about it, but there we go. So how are you making out with these? I'm interested to hear, of course, as always. We'll play these through the end of the week, but that should give us a chance to kind of get to grips with it and have a better sense of where we're at playing with these things. Once again, if this is too fast for you, please do say if you want me to make a slower version. And also, even at this tempo, how are we making out with maintaining the breath control through that phrase? I really don't think it's too long, so if that's still proving to be an issue, and the video about breathing the other day, or the tonguing efficiency video from a couple of weeks ago, if they haven't helped there, please do say, and I'll see if I can cook something else up for you. Okay? Anyway, otherwise, that's it for this one, so please do hit that like button if you've enjoyed this video or found it helpful, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, ringing the notification bell along the way, of course. Okay, other than that, I will see you in tomorrow's video when we'll be back for another go through set 3. And until that time, you know what to do. Go practice.